Hello and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information comes from the smart device application Today in History, What Happened Today in History,
Historical calendar,
and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, the music, and anything else we gather throughout the show, check the underbar in the description below. Anyway, I am Xander.
I am me.
And today is Sun's Day, also known as Sunday, March 15th, 2022.
Okay, you can start it off.
Alright, starting us off in the year 221, which was 1,801 years ago, Liu Bei, Chinese warlord, proclaimed himself Emperor of Shu Han, the successor to the Han Dynasty. Let's see here, about 100 some odd years later, in 392, Emperor Valentinian II was assassinated while advancing into Gaul against the Frankish usurper Arbogast. He was found hanging at his residence in Vienne. Dang. And then in 589, King Althari married Theodelinda, daughter of the Bavarian Duke Garibald I, who was a Catholic. She had great influence among the Lombard nobility. Yeah. All you.
Okay. In 756, Abdul al-Rahman the first, founder of the Arab dynasty that ruled the greater part of Iberia for nearly 3 centuries, becomes Emperor of Cordova, Spain.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Also, 1252, Pope Innocent IV issues a papal bull at Esperanza, which authorizes but also limits the torture of heretics in the medieval Inquisition.
Man, doesn't sound like he's still innocent to me, you know?
He's like, no, you cannot do that. It's a sin.
Yeah.
Without seeing it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will wine and dine if you're going to fuck them.
My God. Let's see, you have one more here, I think, right?
Yep. 1525. Wow. Okay. 1520. All that is moving the 5 into 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it when that happens.
It's at, yeah, okay. Insurgent peasants led by Anabaptist pastor Thomas Munzer were defeated at the Battle of Frankenhausen, ending the German Peasants' War of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah. Yep, we peasants will rise up. So, let's see here. In 1602, which was 420 years ago, you know, Cape Cod sighted by English navigator Bartholomew Gosnold. So, Cape Cod was sighted by. All right. See here, 16 years later, in 1618, Johannes Kepler confirmed his previously rejected discovery of the third law of planetary motion. He first had discovered it on March 8th, but soon rejected the idea after some initial calculations were made. But he was right. And, see here, 30 years later, in 1648, the Peace of Munster was ratified, by which Spain acknowledged the Dutch sovereignty.
The Dutch.
The Dutch.
Also, 1791, French Revolution, Maximilien Robespierre proposed a self-denying ordinance.
What is that? Self-denying ordinance. It sounds like some kind of, like, explosive.
The ordinance can say no. Blow up. No.
Let's see here. The self-denying ordinance was passed by the English Parliament on April 3rd in 1645. All members of the House of Commons or Lords were also officers, who were also officers in the parliamentary army. Parliamentary army or navy were required to resign one or the other within 40 days from April 3rd, 1645. So, it was a mass, forced retirement, I believe.
Okay.
Here we go. It was part of a set of reforms designed to ensure victory, another being the establishment of a professional, centrally controlled new model army, which replaced the existing system of regional armies. It was also linked to an internal political struggle between a peace party who wanted a negotiated settlement with Charles and a war party which wanted to dictate terms. Why can't I read today? Well, that's interesting. I'm going to add that to the underbar.
Yeah. Also, 1817 opened up the first private mental health hospital in the United States, the Asylum for the Relief of Persons Deprived of the Use of Their Reason. Now, Field Hospital, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
So it's still in operation. That's crazy. Right? 205 years. Well, happy birthday to you, mental asylum.
1836, Francis Baily observed Baily's beads during an annual eclipse.
I'm going to have to look at this. Baily's beads. Okay, so that's what that is. So it says the beads of light that you see around an eclipse. So, interesting. Moving on up in 1849, the Sicilian Revolution of 1848 was finally extinguished. That's an interesting way to put it. 1 year later, in 1850, the Iran Southern Treaty was ratified, ending the existing differences between Great Britain and Argentina. Alright. And then another year later, in 1851, the first Australian gold rush was proclaimed, although the discovery had been made 3 months prior. Well, cool. I didn't know there was a gold rush. Why can't I say rush? A gold rush. I have the muffin mouth going on. Yo, so what happened today in 1864?
1864. American Civil War, Battle of New Market, Virginia. Students from the Military Institute fight alongside Confederate armies to force Union General Franz Sigel out of the Shenandoah area, a valley.
That's intriguing. They are like, hey, you're students, now you're warriors. Let's go.
Also, in 1905, the city of Las Vegas was founded in Nevada, United States.
Nice. Which, something interesting about Las Vegas is, like, what we think is Las Vegas, you know, the Strip, you know, the Marriott, the Luxor, you know, the Space Needle, like all that stuff. That's not actually in Las Vegas. That's a different city that's just kind of melded into actual Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas, I don't think gambling is legal, but in Clark County, it is. I don't know. But you have two 1911s here.
Okay. Also in 1911, in Stafford Oil Company of New Jersey versus the United States, the United States Supreme Court declared Standard Oil to be an unreasonable monopoly under the Sherman Antitrust Act and orders the company to be broken up.
Good.
Yeah. 1911, more than 300 Chinese immigrants are killed in the Torreon massacre when the forces of the Mexican Revolution led by Emilio Verdadero take the city of Torino from the Federalists.
Dang, I had no idea that China and Mexico came to blows in such a way. That's interesting. 8 years later, in the year 1919, Greek occupation of Smyrna. During the occupation, the Greek army killed or wounded 350 Turks. Those responsible are punished by Greek commander Aristides Sturgades. Good. 10 years later, in 1929, a fire at the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio, caused the deaths of 123 people. Well, that sucks. Go to a clinic to get healthy, end up getting burnt and dying. 4 years after that, in 1933, all military aviation organizations within or under the control of the RLM of Germany were officially merged in a covert manner to form its Wehrmacht's military air arm, the Luftwaffe.
Let's see what else.
What?
1940,
Yep.
Richard and Maurice McDonald opened the first McDonald's restaurant.
Boom, McDonald's. Bunch of sawdust.
1940, also USS Sailfish is recommissioned. It originally was USS Squalus.
I have to look this up. USS Squalus. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, it's a submarine. Well, that's cool.
In 1940, World War II, the Battle of the Netherlands, after fierce fighting, the 40 trained and equipped Dutch troops surrendered to Germany, making the beginning of the 5 years of occupation. Of course, they were poorly trained and equipped.
Yeah, that's not good. They weren't ready for the Germany. 365 days later, in 1941, the first flight of the Gloucester E-28/39, which was the first British and Allied jet aircraft, occurred. I didn't know we had jet aircrafts back then. Like, I know Germany was working on something, but oh, that thing. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, it's a little zippy dippy thing. Let's see here. 1943, Joseph Stalin dissolved the Comintern, which was also the Third Internationale, achieving absolute power. And then 2 years later, in 1945, also during the Second World War, during the Battle of Poljana, the final skirmish in Europe was fought near Prevalje in Slovenia. Interesting.
Good. 1948, following the expiration of the British mandate for Palestine, the Kingdom of Egypt, Transjordan, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia invade Israel, thus starting the 1948 Arab-Israeli War.
Yeah, that's right. Like, what was it? Just like a day after Israel got declared a nation, which was yesterday, I think, in 1948, the war started. And
yeah.
Let's see, the Battle of Poljana, like, I'm wondering if that, because in 1945, on this date, World War II had officially ended, but then why is there still a skirmish going on in Europe? So, was this a castle one? Because I remember, like, there's some hardcore SS people that refused to surrender, so, like, the surrendered German army with the United States troops fought alongside, you know, against these extremists. So I'm wondering if this was the same one. Yugoslavia, so I don't think this is the same one. Well, that's weird. Anyway, is it still your turn? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Also, 1957, at the Maiden Island in the Pacific Ocean, Britain tested its first hydrogen bomb in Operation Grapple.
Ooh. Dang, didn't take long for the Brits to get that.
Also in 1963, Project Mercury, the launch of the final Mercury mission, Mercury Atlas 9, with astronaut Gordon Cooper on board. He becomes the first American to spend more than a day in space and the last American to go into space alone.
Dang. That's pretty cool. The first of one record and the last of another. So, moving on up into 1970, President Richard Nixon appointed Anna Mae Hayes and Elizabeth P. Hoskinson the first female United States Army generals. Well, look at that. Why doesn't anybody talk about that, you know, when they're talking about, oh, you know, it's the patriarchy. Well, you know what? 52 years ago, we had female generals, so zip it. Bunch of feminist, crazy psychos. Anyway, in 1972, the Ryukyu Islands, under U.S. military governance since its conquest in 1945, reverted to Japanese control. Oh, okay. And in 1974, the Ma'alot massacre saw members of the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine attack and take hostages at an Israel school. A total of 31 people were killed, including 22 school children. Well, that's a tragedy. Maybe if Israel leaves Palestine alone, you know?
Mm-hmm. Also, 1988, Soviet Afghan War. After more than 8 years of fighting, the Soviet army begins to withdraw 115,000 troops from Afghanistan.
Yeah, that's right. They were there's a whole thing going on. Soviets had it.
And after that, the Taliban was born.
Yeah, what a coincidence. What happened in 1991?
Also, 1991, Ethel Chrétien becomes France's first female prime minister.
Nice.
I mean, Edith. Not Ethel.
You're gonna eat your hand soap? Is that what I heard?
Edith, not Ethel.
Oh.
Edith.
I thought you said you were gonna eat your hand soap.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat hand soap.
Okay.
Also, in 1997, the United States government acknowledges the existence of a secret war in Laos and dedicates the Laos Memorial in honor of Hom and other secret war veterans.
You missed another 1997 there.
Oh yeah, the 1997 Space Shuttle Atlantis launches the STS-84 to dock with the Russian space station Mir.
Nice. Moving up to 2001, 21 years ago. Man, being a historian and seeing all these dates and everything, some dates seem so far away and other dates just, they seem that they were closer, but it's been 21 years. Anyway, a CSX EMD ST-42 rolled out of a train yard in Walbridge, Ohio, with 47 freight cars, including some tank cars with flammable chemicals, after its engineer failed to reboard it after setting a yard switch. It traveled south driverless for 66 miles, which is 106 kilometers, until it was brought to a halt near Kenton. The incident became the inspiration for the 2010 film Unstoppable. That was an amazing film, but that's frightening that a train just went, It ain't Thomas. Let's see here. 2004, Arsenal FC go on an entire league campaign unbeaten in the English Premier League, joining Preston North End FC with the right to claim the title The Invincibles. Also in 2008, California became the second U.S. state after Massachusetts in 2004 to legalize same-sex marriage after the state's own Supreme Court ruled a previous ban unconstitutional.
Yeah. All sexualities deserve to have equal misery.
Yes. But all I can say is look at how they Californians today. So, obviously there's a lot more factors in it, but maybe we should stick to traditions. What happened in 2010? Yeah.
Jessica Watson becomes the youngest person to sail non-stop and unassisted around the world solo. In 2013, an upsurge in violence in Iraq leaves more than 389 people dead over 3 days.
Good Lord. What causes that? I mean, that's not a military action. It's not a riot. Like does everybody just suddenly, it's violence time? Is it like a purge situation?
It's Violence Day! Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. Violence time. Everybody die. Boom, boom, boom.
Happy Violence Day. That's the guy who stabbed. Happy Violence Day.
It's Violence Day. Anyway, before we get into person deaths, any articles grab your attention? Beyond normal?
A lot of them. A lot of them.
Yeah, this is becoming a problem. Everything is important in its own right, so it's hard to discern. It's like as a parent, how do you choose, which is your favorite kid? Well, as a historian, how do you choose, everything's important.
I I know how to choose my favorite one. Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
Well, true.
Saying Team Cap will have you losing a kneecap.
Well, that's a little violent. I'm pretty sure CPS would have something to say about that. Anyway, let's get into bursts here. Why don't you start us off?
1397, Sejong the Great, Korean King of Dorsen. 1633, Sebastian Le Percy de Faben, French noble. 1645, George Jeffreys, first Baron Jeffreys, British judge.
1720, Maximilian Hell, Hungarian priest and astronomer. That's a interesting last name. Yeah. He's Preacher Hell. Like, when you die, we all go to him. So, 1773, Clemens von Metternich, German-Austrian policeman who was the first state chancellor of the Austrian Empire. And then 1817, we have Debendranath Tagore, was an Indian philosopher and author.
1854, Ioannis Sakaris, Ukrainian French philologist and author.
What's a philologist?
1959, Pierre Curie, French physician and academic. Is he related to Madame Curie? No one knows.
I will find that out in a second. First off, a philologist is a person who specializes in philology, the study of literary texts and written records. So basically, like, a word person. Pierre Curie, let's see here, I think was related to Madame Curie. I think, yeah, he discovered radium and polonium. His spouse was Marie Curie from 1895 to 1906. So, yeah.
And 1863, Frank Hornby, English businessman and politician who invented Meccano.
What is Meccano? Let me look at that real quick. Meccano is a brand of model construction system. Hold on a second. Frank Hornby, Meccano. This is going to require a little bit of searching. Okay, well, Meccano is a toy type thing. It looks like. Yeah, it's that old. I think this is what they used in the Sandlot to try to get that ball back from the neighbor's yard before it got eaten by the dog. But yeah, okay. It's like metal Legos with screws. Like the picture I'm looking at is these kids made this bucket crane. That's cool. I've always wanted to play with that stuff. Anyway, 1882, we have Walter White, a Scottish international footballer, not the meth dealer. 1893, Jose Nepomuceno was a Filipino filmmaker who founded the Philippine cinema. So if you're in the Philippines, thank this guy for movies and such. And moving on up into the next century, in 1900, we have Ida Rhodes, was a U.S. mathematician who was a pioneer in computer programming. So thank you, Miss Ida Rhodes.
Yeah. And 1905, Albert Dubot, French cartoonist, illustrator, painter, and sculptor. 1905, Abraham Zapruder, U.S. businessman and amateur photographer who filmed the Zapruder film.
And the Zapruder film, for those who do not know, or if that's familiar, that is the film of JFK getting his head scooped off. So.
Oh.
Yep.
1921, Federico Kerwig, Basque writer, member of ETA, and translator.
Yeah, what is ETA? Federico something or other, ETA. Federico Kerwig. Is it going to tell me what ETA was? Uh, well, he was a communist. It looks like. Influence. The Basque folk group Osarki released an album featuring collaborations with Canarian musicians. Well, this is going to require a lot more study that we don't have time in the show. Still your turn, right? No, it's not. 1926, Anthony Schaffer was an English author, playwright, and screenwriter. Then we also have Peter Schaffer, 1926 as well, so it looks like twins, was an English playwright and screenwriter. 1935, we also have Utah Phillips, was a U.S. singer, songwriter, and guitarist, and that cannot be his actual name, so let me look it up. No, Bruce Duncan, aka Utah Phillips, so that was his actual name. He was also a labor organizer and a storyteller and poet. Interesting.
1935, Akira Miwa, Japanese singer, actor, director, composer, author, and drag queen.
Dang.
1941, Jackson, U.S. illustrator who co-founded Riff Off Press.
I have to look that up real quick. 1941, Jackson. Edward Jackson. Okay. So that's his actual name. So just going by his last name.
1942, Katie Olson, U.S. singer, songwriter, and actress.
Now, what's her actual name? Katie Olson. K. Tyonette Olson. Alright. Interesting. 1948, we have Kate Bornstrom, is a U.S. author, playwright, performance artist, and gender theorist. Oh boy, one of these. 1949, Robert S.J. Sparks, English geologist and academic. What's his actual name? Robert S.J. Sparks. Robert Stephen John Sparks is his actual name. Alright. And then 1952, we have Chaz Palminteri, is a U.S. actor, director, producer, and screenwriter.
1960, R. Kuhan Saran, Sri Lankan politician. 1975, Jani Sirvari, Finnish Sami politician who became the first Sami ever to be elected to the Finnish parliament. Yeah, they're finished. Also, in 1984, Mr. Probst, a singer, songwriter, rapper, actor, and record producer.
Interesting. Bringing our Kusha Sawaran back up into the thing. R stood for Raja, so for whatever reason they decided to shorten the already shorter of the two names. I don't know why they couldn't have just gone with Raja K, but... And then Mr. Probst, his actual name is Dennis Princewell Stair. So, just a little bit of information for anybody interested. Anyway, moving on to deaths here, we have Valentinian II, Roman Emperor. We spoke about him earlier. 1174, we have Nur ad-Din, was a Seljuk Emir of Syria. And 1175, we have Mleh, was a prince of Armenia. What a name, Mleh.
Yeah, just like old Worm 2 days ago.
Yeah, old Worm, good old Worm.
1879, Gottfried Semper, German architect and educator who designed the Semper Opera House.
Taking a look at that right now. Oh, that's gorgeous.
American poet and author. 1924, Paul Henry Benjamin de Estornellis Decostet, French diplomat and politician.
That's a heck of a name. Sorry for interrupting you when you were talking about Emily Dickinson. I was just remarking on the Semper Opera House. It looks really nice.
I know.
Yeah.
It is.
Let's see here. 1937, we have Phillips Snowden, the first Viscount Snowden, was an English politician who is a Chancellor of the Exchequer, however you pronounce that. 1948, Edward J. Flanagan was an Irish U.S. priest who founded Boys Town. That sounds not good. Priest finding Boys Town. 1954, we have William March was a U.S. soldier and author, and I bet that must have been very confusing during boot camps. Like, March, it's March, you know? March during March. Triple M.
1965, Pion, Italian businessman.
Pion.
2007, Jerry Falwell. I know what he is. U.S. pastor who founded Liberty University.
Called Liberty?
I think this is Jerry Falwell, the same guy I was thinking about. The guy who sued Larry Flint.
Larry Flint. Let me check this out. Hustler magazine versus Falwell. Yeah, you're thinking about Hustler?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think you are talking about the same guy.
Because he used to be on TV a lot. And he put stupid shit about him and his Jerry Falwell and his mother in an outhouse as a joke. And he didn't take kindly to it.
Yeah, no, you don't talk about somebody's mom like that. That's
in a fucking outhouse.
That's just tasteless. If it's alright with you, I'll take these last two.
Yeah.
2008, we have Alexander Courage, a U.S. composer and conductor, died on this date. That's it's always a sad day when we lose an Alex. And 2015, Elizabeth Bing, a German U.S. physical therapist and author. And that concludes the show. Once again, check the underbar for any links that you may be interested in, which also includes
Soviet TV on Twitch
and everything Omni Coalition. For your dose of past events daily, we stream every day between 12 noon and 3 p.m. Pacific time.
2 to 5 Central.
For all of you and all of us, I am A.O. Xander.
Me.
And you are you. And until you see us tomorrow, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Until then, toodles. Let's go, Brandon.
Yes.